sir. So,
Yes. Yes, it has started, Akila ma'am. Yes.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna. The object of education is to prepare the young to educate themselves throughout their lives. We, at the Postgraduate and Research Department of Commerce of DG Vaishnav College, believe that we must open the doors of opportunity to our students, but we must also equip them to walk through those doors. Hence, we have taken an humble initiative to inflame your intellect and to seek to support you to understand, to evaluate, and to communicate. I'm Dr. Akila, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce. Feel privileged to be amidst of you all. Having said that, looking forward for a great session of knowledge sharing and enhancement on the dynamic topic of today's discussion, Budget of Tamil Nadu 2021. Without further delay, we will move on to the proceedings of the webinar. Dr. J. Jayashankar sir, Head of the Department of Commerce, will deliver the welcome address.
Maximum volume. Good afternoon. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Dr. P.R. Ramakrishnan, Dean, School of Management and Commerce, Wales Institute of Science, Technology and Advanced Studies, Chennai, to today's webinar on the theme Tamil Nadu Budget for 21-22. All of us are aware that the budget of the Tamil Nadu government was presented in the Assembly by the Honorable Finance Minister Sri P.T.R. Palanivel Thiagarajan a couple of weeks ago in the Assembly. Two unique things are being said about the budget presented by the newly elected government. This budget is the first ever e-budget presented in the Assembly in the history of the government of Tamil Nadu. And another unique feature is that a separate budget has been presented for agriculture, and it has been done by the Honorable Minister for Agriculture, Sri M.R.K. Pannirselvam. Now, the Finance Minister has made allocation of funds for key sectors such as health, education, infrastructure, tourism and so on, which is normally done by any finance minister whenever a budget is presented in the Legislative Assembly. And the finance minister has effected a cut in the excise levy for petrol. As a result, the price of petrol has come down by 3 rupees. The price of diesel, of course, remains unchanged. Now we have certain questions before us. The most important question I feel is that the state has a huge debt commitment to the tune of more than 5 lakh crores accumulated over several years. And the finance minister has not made any provision in the budget to augment revenue by levying additional taxes. So it only means that in the coming months, the debt commitment of the state is going to go up further. So this question needs to be answered. Another question is, what is it that the budget has done for the common man, apart from the reduction in the price of petrol by 3 rupees? Is there anything else that the finance minister has announced for the benefit of the common man in the budget? And what is the uniqueness of the budget? How is it different from the budgets that have been presented by the finance ministers in the past? So these questions, I am sure, will be answered by our resource person, Dr. P.R. Ramakrishnan sir, today. And as participants, we will have more to ask. So with these few introductory remarks, I once again welcome our resource person, Dr. P.R. Ramakrishnan, on behalf of the Postgraduate and Research Department of Commerce, Dwarkadas Governor Vaishnav College. and I hand over the proceedings to our coordinator, Dr. Akila. Thank you. Over to Dr. Akila.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now call upon Dr. A.G. Vijay Narayanan, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to introduce the resource person to the august audience.
Thank you, ma'am. It is my privilege to introduce the resource person to this august gathering. Dr. P.R. Ramakrishnan is a renowned professor with an M.Com, MBA, MPhil, and PhD in finance.
1 second. Akila ma'am, some noise is coming in the background.
Sir, actually, Ramakrishnan sir, if you could mute your mic for some time, it will be audible.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Yeah. Dr. P.R. Ramakrishnan sir is a renowned professor with an M.Com, MBA, MPhil, and PhD in finance. He has been professor in accounting and finance and has over 35 years of teaching, research, academic, and administrative experience to his credit. He has served as principal and head of the department in the Department of Commerce at Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda College, affiliated to University of Madras, Chennai. He holds doctorate in finance from IFMR and his research guide is from IIM Bangalore. Many of his students are currently CEOs and CFOs in global corporate and in many countries. Dr. Ramakrishnan is an approved research supervisor of the University of Madras and has guided many research scholars. He was also in the interview panel of Staff Selection Commission and Union Public Service Commission, Southern Region. He has been a visiting faculty for many institutions. He has presented and published research papers and delivered lectures at the national and international levels in US, UK, Singapore, Malaysia, and Middle East nations. Currently, he is holding the position of Dean, School of Management in Wales Institute of Science, Technology, and Advanced Studies, a deemed university in Chennai. He has conducted several EDP, FDP programs and corporate consultancy for various executives. He was also an examiner for Institute of Chartered Accountants, Delhi. He has been awarded by many academic and industrial bodies. He also gives capital market analysis in All India Radio and in various television channels. He is a corporate consultant for restructuring of NCLT and BIFR companies. Sir, on behalf of the department, I once again welcome you for this session. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. The most prestigious college in Chennai, DG Vaishnav College. My association goes about 3 to 3.5 decades with the prestigious college of DG Vaishnava. And I have been in touch with the management, the various faculty members, and the former HODs. We were all contemporaries. I was in head of the Department of Commerce in Vivekananda College, Mylapore, Chennai, and my colleague Dr. Vembu, he was in DG Vaishnav College. So I take much pleasure and privilege to address the elite crowd of Chennai. Budget analysis, normally what we think is that it is once again a total expenditure and receipts planning. And we are planning how to spend our money. We are getting some receipts that has to be spent out carefully, and we should keep some surplus. That is the idea with which we are all planning. You will be wondering about India's history of budgeting. In 1947, when India got freedom, can you say who was the first finance minister of India who presented finance budget in India? Can any of you say in the crowd? The first finance minister presented budget at New Delhi, Government of India.
Sir, was it T.T. Krishnamachari?
I doubt. It's not. Shall I come out?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This is Mr. Shanmugam Chettiar.
Okay, okay.
He is from Tamil Nadu. Shanmugam Chettiar presented the first ever budget in Parliament, and the total volume of money was 197 crore. That was the budget for whole of country, for 30 states, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, for the whole of the country. The budget presented estimation was just 197 crore. And with that, he said, I am allotting 47% for the defense. 95 crore was allotted for defense. So this was the state of affair 75 years back when Government of India started its finance career. Today, a state Pondicherry today morning I read the news, Pondicherry is presenting 9,950 crore budget. 9,950 crore budget exclusive only for Pondicherry, which is just what you call almost equal to Chennai. That is all. And the volume of money, the volume of currency, the money, what you call circulation, the M1, M2, M3, what we study in banking, it has gone mind-boggling. And the enormous, what you call volume of money we are handling. Reserve Bank of India, the various finance authorities, they are really struggling, and it is a challenge for them. However, when compared to US and other highly developed countries, our situation is very negligible. There is about total 87 billion GDP created around the world. Whereas in India, our government is trying for 5 trillion economy. The whole world, it is about $90 trillion economy. Out of $90 trillion economy, our Government of India is trying its best for 5 trillion economy, which is hardly 3 trillion today. We have got only $3 trillion. So 1 plus 12 zeros, 1 plus 12 zeros, 1 trillion and dollar economy. And we are planning for, currently we are at $3 trillion economy. And each state has been completely given a freedom. The government is, Union Finance Minister, Dr. Nirmala Prasad, has managing and presented a budget for 21. And each state government has been given the complete authority. And they are having the separate law to monitor and find out how the governments are receiving the receipts and payments. And every state government has vested with the power and also responsibility. Accounting standards also apply. They have to maintain the data based on the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2003. It is amended in 2017. State has the responsibility to ensure the fiscal stability and financial sustainability. So it cannot be, though we have got elected government, the government is 100% accountable. They are fully responsible. State government is collecting revenue. Central government is pouring money in every state, and the complete collection from all the central pool, it is being shared with all the state governments. About 40 to 43% of the total collection is shared with the center. Income tax, we are all thinking that it is going to central government. Tamil Nadu contributing approximately about 1 lakh crore as an income tax. Out of that, 47% coming back to Tamil Nadu. And nearly major portion comes to the concerned state. And only the remaining goes to state government. And the government, center and state is sharing. That's the reason why all the governments are very happy with the GST introduction. When GST was introduced, why every state government was very happy? That immediately participated. They only wanted some amendment, wanted safety for them. In case tax collection comes down, will you take responsibility? And we moved from sales tax. From sales tax, we moved to service tax. Service tax, we have gone to GST now. So income tax is negligible when calculating GST. Currently, we are collecting more than 1 lakh crore GST collection every month. State government, the central government is collecting 1 lakh crore plus every month. And that is being shared with the center and state. And the state governments are responsible for maintenance of the financial stability. And they have to maintain the inflation, the price control, free distribution, and the welfare measures, infrastructure, education, housing, and again social welfare, children development, and COVID supply, healthcare, and we have got total commitment responsibility with the elected government. And now, what is the present state? Let us confine to Tamil Nadu state now. I'll come down to Tamil Nadu state. The state revenue for the fiscal year is estimated as 2,60,409.26 crore, whereas the expenditure estimated at 261. And it is only a rough estimate. Estimate will never be actual. Estimates we are in the entire budget process, it will be more than 10%, 20% will be exceeding, because the cost to overrun. One of the reasons why we are running at a loss is that we are trying to finish a particular project in 5 years at the estimate cost 20,000 crore. But we are unable to complete within the duration due to several factors: environmental clearance, and again political atmosphere, financial climate, availability of funds, and again the natural circumstances, pandemic, so many factors we are unable to conclude. So instead of 4 years, the project goes to 7 years or 6 years. When it is extended to 6 years to another 2 years, estimated cost of 20,000 crore becomes 35,000 crore. The government is not responsible. The government has taken all the efforts, but circumstances beyond control. The the cost of production has gone up, cost of import has gone up, and again the dollar rate has gone up. We are importing certain material, and the local prices are rising. Price control is a major responsibility. So this is the factor why we are running at a loss. And again, every time we are grumbling that we are having a high expenditure, more than expected. I will give a brief idea about what they have announced in the budget, and again let us go to the general discussion later. I will give a brief because all of you would have gone through this. I am not going to say anything which is not available, the black and white. So this is the point given by the finance minister. I will just give a brush of memory of my young friends. Tamil Nadu government reduces the state excise duty on petrol by ₹3, and it is not given for diesel. They gave only for petrol. All the transport operators and all the Ola operators, lorry owners, heavy vehicle transportation, complete, they say that we have been ignored. It is not extended for diesel. Petrol fellow is already a rich man, and even if it goes to 120, he is not going to bother. It could have been extended for diesel. So this is the plight of, and again the analysis of a common man. As a result, the government of India and the government of Tamil Nadu incurring a loss of 1160 crore. So imagine, this is the volume of loss, everything we have to calculate. Loan to the tune of 2,750 crore availed by self-help groups will be waived off. Our one of the very populistic measure every government is trying to woo the citizen and common man is that common man is very happy if I get 2,000 rupees in my pocket. If somebody gives me 2,000 rupees, I am very happy. I will say this is one of the best government. So this is what being exploited. And now it has become a practice today. You borrow money, at the end of the time, the moral of the story is that don't repay the money. Once you borrow money, keep delaying or keep pay interest, never pay the principal back. In 5 years, you will get the loan waived off. So this has been happening not today, and even about 10 years back, 70,000 crore loan was waived off by Y.V. Reddy when he was the RBI governor for the entire agriculturists. And the explanation he gave, he came to Vivekananda College. He addressed the students. I asked him the similar question. Sir, Government of India waived 70,000 crore And do you think it will tell upon the economy? Then the answer given by the governor directly was that it will not have any impact on the economy. The money is circulating within the country only. The poor farmer has got the money now on hand, and he is free from the mental agony. And agriculture sector, we are trying for the GDP increase. How to increase the GDP from 5%, 6%, 7%? When will we become 10% GDP growth? China is having a GDP growth consistently for the last 10 years. 10 to 15 years, China has got more than 10% GDP. But the last 3-4 years, their GDP has come down, and India has overtaken the percentage of GDP growth than China. That is the advantage we are in today. Our GDP rate is increasing when compared to the another financial major neighboring country, China. So the agriculture thing has to be taken care, and the new government has given lot of measures, that is of irrigation, water resource maintenance. That is one of the major constraint. See, a lot of water comes. The water, when you don't use for irrigation, it straight away run to the river and go and get into the sea. We are not able to store it. It is available in the dam. After that, there is no check. Straight away it flows, and if you supply more water also, it is not good for the paddy field. It is not good for the particular crop. So what we do is that the excess water, we are unable to store it, and there is no facility for that, and it straight away goes and waste into the Bay of Bengal. So what the government last time they did then, as per the suggested by experts in the agriculture field, let us construct the check dams. That is, we can have a mini storing facility at every river front, at every basin. Once the check dams constructed, we can maintain and keep the water, and that can be slowly sent for irrigation. So 1,000 check dams to be constructed, and there was also a lot of very humorous things our politicians gave about how to preserve water. We can put thermocol and keep the water, and a lot of funny things took place. And apart from that, so check dam construction is one of the very, very interesting area where they have proved that this will definitely store water and it can be used for effective irrigation. So that is what the next planning. And the defense industrial park to come up in Coimbatore for about 500 acres. So our present finance minister promised that huge employment will be generated, industrial climate will be generated in Tamil Nadu, and a lot of defense production, make in India. And our prime minister's slogan is that let it not import anything, minimize the import. Everything let us go for make in India. And you can do with the collaboration. You get the technology, but technology must be manufactured with the local collaboration. When Maruti car was introduced about 50 years back or 40 years back, the government of India said, in another 10 years of time, first time they straight away imported Maruti car from Japan, Maruti Suzuki. It came as a Maruti Suzuki, and the same brand came. And at that time, it was priced for 75,000. 75,000, one car was sold. You had to book the car and wait for 2 years for getting a delivery. And people bought it for 75,000. After riding the car, using the car for 7 years, they sold it for 2 lakhs. Can you believe that? They used it for 10 years. Then it was sold for more than the purchase price. They sold it for more than lakh, 1.5 lakhs, because in 10 years, the price became nearly 3 lakhs. Introduction price was 75,000. Then the price became 3 lakhs of rupees. Resale value also gone up because the engine was very good, service was good, technology was excellent. Then now it is 100% indigenized. 95% they indigenized, only local production. Only 5% they imported. And that is what government says. Don't depend on the complete import. And you can import, no doubt about it. Technology import, but make in India. Defense is one of the major area where we are spending a lot of money. So defense industrial park, Tamil Nadu government has allotted land and facilities for infrastructure creation, employment generation in Tamil Nadu. So 703 crore granted as a subsidy for free bus travel for women. It is once again another debate took place. Earlier they said we will give free scooter for women. Let our young women go by enjoy the free ride. We will provide free scooter for you. And it is a big facility costing about 78,000 rupees, and bulk purchase they did, and it was distributed for all the women in Tamil Nadu. The present government has said that we are going to give free bus drive, and immediately silently they say we are not going to continue with the scheme of free scooter. Then the other person questioning, why are you dropping the free scooter? And the explanation is that the moment when I given a free bus drive for you, bus ride free for you anywhere in Chennai, there is a need for a scooter? Why are you risking your life by traveling in a scooter? So we will abandon the scheme. The scheme will be abandoned. So this is the way everyone has to think in different line, and it has to be taken in a strategical way, and it also saving a lot of expenditure and the enormous expenditure we are committing. But one thing we did excellently in the government of Tamil Nadu was that in 2010-11, we have distributed nearly 7 lakh laptops in Tamil Nadu. 7 lakh to 8 lakh laptops, free distribution for Tamil Nadu students. That is the turning point of education in Tamil Nadu. Everybody thought, what is the need for a laptop? And the education front, it has transformed the entire society. And now, Tamil Nadu is the first and foremost in the digitalized economy. Tamil Nadu Prime Minister's dream is converting the whole country into digital economy. Nobody should have money in pocket. Everything transact in digital. Take a card, swipe and go. Get into a bus, swipe your card and go. Get into metro, swipe your card. Complete bank transaction. No cash transaction. Is it possible in the economy? Will it be implemented in the country like this with a 100 crore population and only 20% educated and 70% are educated, no, uneducated? Is it possible in the country to implement such a huge digitalized economy in a very fast manner? It is taking place. You will be wondering to know that 50 crore internet connections are prevailing in India today. 50 crore internet connections, massive speed, and public are adapting to a fast level. And especially Tamil Nadu is the forefront in all that. The gross enrollment ratio of Tamil Nadu education is 49%, whereas in the whole of the country it is only 20 to 25%. We are nearly 50%. In every 2%, one is educated. That is the plight in Tamil Nadu. The enrollment ratio is nearing 50%. And Tamil Nadu government says in the budget, 10 more colleges will be introduced. Government colleges will be started during the current year. The next year, 10 government arts and science colleges are going to be open. Every college, about 2,000 students will get admitted. So around 20,000, 25,000 students will get free education and almost all the government facilities, scholarship, total responsibility for the state. That is what the state is going. And another announcement given regarding the midday meal scheme and the provision of good nutritious food for the young mind and young children is the need of the hour. Parents are struggling in the economy, the parents is a pandemic scenario. And once the meal is provided, they said this is one of the reasons why the enrollment ratio has gone up in Tamil Nadu. when the former chief minister with a broad mind started the noon meal scheme in Tamil Nadu, they said that how is it going to increase the midday what they call as enrollment ratio? Many parents they said we are struggling. At least my son have a square meal if you go to school. So that is how the crowd started in Tamil Nadu. And the budget is continuously planning. It has become a model for United Nations today. United Nations following the model introduced in Tamil Nadu for noon meal, and for the whole United Nations countries are observing and they are following it as a excellent model introduced from Tamil Nadu. Then drinking water. The drinking water is a major issue, and we are all carrying water bottle today and buying water every day, and where Singapore was struggling for water scarcity. Singapore had a heavy water scarcity. Then the Prime Minister Lee thought that I should do something. He introduced the scheme of sea water desalination. From the sea, abundant water is there. If you but what is that? There's a saying, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Right? That is the base in the sea water. Then if you process the water, eliminate and cleanse the water, remove the salt content in that become a potable water. So in the sea nearby, if you dig a small pond, you are getting a potable water. So eliminate, again cleaning the sea water, removing the saline content or the soil content, make them potable water. So they are going to make the previous government already started the scheme. Anyway, it has not been introduced in full swing. So the present government into the budget, they are once again announced that is 60 million liters of water will be delivered every day. And that's what the news concept says. Then Tamil Nadu government to renovate the various mosques, churches, everything, and it's a place of worship, and they are taking measures for sentimental values. So another 4,000 crore has been allocated for the Adi Dravidas and Tribal Welfare Department. So that is once again the underprivileged people should be given priority for getting the facility. And 48 crore allotted for the upgrading the noon meal centers, and 1.5 crore is allotted for transgenders. These are the measures by taking the particular section. Most important thing for the employment generation. So in Tamil Nadu, 700 engineering colleges, more than 1,000 arts and science colleges, and approximately 10 lakh students are passing out every year. And 10 lakh students are coming out, how to employ them, how to give employment facility for them. And everybody says, look upon the government. And unfortunately, our system is creating only an army of clerks. China has become the workshop for the world, whereas India has become only accountant for the world. We are the accountant for the world. Lot of chartered accountants, company secretaries, and cost accountants. Anything you do in computer, India is number one. And Chennai is doing massive filing of return for American citizens from Chennai. For American citizen, income tax return filed from Chennai back office. Millions of records are being created. That is what we are doing in the call centers. So our call center guys knows very well aware about the American tax laws. So we are filing here. So industrial park is the need of the hour. 100 crore is allotted to renovate the various chariots and tanks in temples, and integrated transport facility, industrial park to come up in the Theni, Tirunelveli and Ranipet districts. So they are the backward districts. In backward districts, if you commence the industrial park, the students need not migrate to Chennai, and the graduates need not come to the neighboring cities in search of employment. So create the industrial park in the location. Today, everything is online. Either you are sitting in a remote village or sitting in Chennai, it makes no difference. Daily I am talking to my friends in London, and we are interacting with my friends in Chicago, and only time difference, 12 hours, that is the only problem. So night 7 o'clock, if I call, it will be early morning 7 o'clock for him. So we'll choose the time accordingly. I will tell him today evening I will call you. So I will call him, I will say good morning. So this is how the global village it has become. So industrial park, Tamil Nadu government has taken a wise decision. They have allotted funds for that. And the extending the leave for the female family working members, the 12 months time. That's another good move by the government. Government has allocates 165 crore to set up FinTech City. What is a FinTech City? At Nandambakam. So we all know financial accounting. Then it has become financial reporting. They said don't use the word financial accounting. When we all started, we were starting in BCom, Introduction to Financial Accounting. Then we said don't use the word financial accounting. It is financial reporting. Then I started telling it's not only a financial accounting reporting. It is going to be what you call accounting standards. Follow the accounting standards. Then we started teaching them International Financial Reporting Standard, IFRS, Indian Accounting Standard, International Accounting Standard, and International Financial Reporting Standard. All that we started. And today, financial modeling. We don't use financial accounting. And even reporting coming down gradually. I started using financial modeling. So in financial modeling, financial technology, everything is now chartered accountant cannot do anything without the software. And without software application, you cannot file return. Everything is completely technology based. Upload everything, scan, upload. And you have to fill up all that, upload it. Once it is accepted, you go to the next slide. Otherwise, you cannot move from there. No pen, no writing. And no profit and loss account, no balance sheet. And we are not using hand for anything. Everything systematically going and download, upload the P&L account. You are getting a balance sheet and the system getting a report, financial report generate. And we are now going for financial analytics. It is not only financial modeling. We are going beyond that. I have IBM collaboration for financial analytics. And we are doing complete analytics. And where you are spending, suppose just take your credit card statement. In your credit card statement, every month you are getting 10,000 billing, 20,000 billing. And I can say where you are spending. And what is the percentage of money spent for entertainment. And what is the money spent in mall. And what is the money spent in entertaining. And your textile material, medicine, how much you bought. And what is the money spent for transportation. So we bifurcate everything. Analytics. So we are going on the total software way. So financial technology is introduced by the Tamil Nadu. It is a great welcome move. And we are heading towards the adoption of technology. And the next generation is requiring only the software application. And they don't need, once again, preparing a handful with your profit and loss account, balance sheet, seldom it tallies. Whereas when you are going for a system tells you where the error also. Of course, you need to know the fundamentals basically. And you should know how to correct it, how to alter it. There is a facility for altering. Go for the alt button. Then go for changing that. So your intervention is required. Without human intervention cannot take place. But now a chartered accountant and a software engineer both are sitting together and they are doing the analytics. Software engineer, he does not know what is debit credit. But you know everything, but you don't know software. So that is what we have to learn. Now even BCom students, we are now introducing BCom data analytics going to come shortly. In another 1 year, wait. There will be now we have got BCom banking management, BCom corporate secretaryship, and BCom general. In another 1 year, you will see a program BCom data analytics. And that is what the day is going. That is what we are heading to. So the government has taken a right move in financial technology, and 257 crores allotted to the what you call Makkalai Thedi, some program where the medicine will be delivered by going and knocking at your door. You need not come to me, I will come and do it. Initially, there was a lot of fuss whether even the COVID vaccine, either you have to pay money or it is free, and many people made money and they sold it for 1,000, 2,000, and now government says I will come to your house and give. And initially, just like skimming the cream, initially I make money. I will make a confusion, make money. Now I say, I will come to your house and give injection for you. You please come and take vaccine. 2 vaccine free. So the government has also taken a decision. 18,000 crores allocated to the health and family welfare of the demand. So it's a very, very strong move. And the government has taken a wonderful decision, minding the health care of the citizen. Every single life is important. Initially, when the COVID was started, Delhi's chief minister said, and if anybody happened to lose life due to COVID, we'll have to go 1 crore. 1 crore give the family. And that was the claim started initially. And is it possible? No. And millions dead. And much more in US. And how is it possible for the government to pay 1 crore per head? At least we give them free injection. Protect him. So the government has got a right move of allocation of fund for health move. Tamil Nadu increases the number of free ambulances, and again the allotted for the school education, because whichever the government provides money for education, and initially I told you about the laptop introduction. Laptop move was the excellent move by the previous government, and that has transformed the entire society. And now every nook and corner and every underprivileged student, he knows how to download, how to internet, how to access, and how to send email, how to apply for a job. My housemaid son has got a job for 85,000 today. He said, I applied and the school, they gave me laptop. He became a computer engineer. He is drawing 85,000 to 1 lakh rupees salary. His mother is working a housemaid in a house. And that is what the transformation. She comes and tells proudly now, sir, my son got a job for 85,000 rupees salary. That is the real transformation of society that paved way by the state government. No government could have ventured it, but state government fund allocation, very important. So when they try to spend money, of course, the borrowing will go up. They are borrowing money. They are borrowing Reserve Bank of India, all other sources. It is for the transformation of society. If it is a beneficial for the society at large, it is not a harmful message or harmful for the economy. And human capital is increasing. That is what we have to see. And another 5,369 crores, the higher education. So the government is once again showing a very keen interest on higher education. Mostly they don't bother about it. Higher education for paid only. Whoever wants to go higher education, hardly 10% of Indian population having higher education. Maximum 12 standard. That is all my responsibility. Beyond 12 standard, whoever coming for graduation, it is approximately 10 to 15% in India. And only 5% going for professional education and postgraduate education. This is the plight. And the government is spending a lot of money for increasing the awareness and providing the facility for education. And money allocated for smart classrooms today in 25 arts and science colleges. Earlier in government colleges, they may not have the facility at all. And they will say only colleges where collect a lot of money can spend on that. Government cannot afford to spend money. So the smart rooms are not available. So the government is providing for all those people who are in need of it. Then for culture and archaeology, every time our culture, our ancestors, they have done lot, very, very huge, rich heritage we have. And that it can be traced only by excavation, archaeology. The government is constantly spending money on this particular area, and 5 crore allocated to continue excavation in archaeology studies. 2,000 crore allotted to provide drinking water through the what you call Jal Shakti scheme. So that is the need of the hour. And what the government, central government dreams is that every house, the whole country should get pipe water connection. If you are able to give electricity for the whole of the country, electricity for all the villages in the state, and drinking water for every single person, that is the success of the state. The state government also announced a waiver of loans to the tune of 2,750 crores to the self-help group, all managed by women. These people are, I was talking to the managing director of Repco Bank. Repco Bank managing director, I was talking, and she said, she's a dynamic lady. She said, sir, we are given 1,000 crore loan, 1,000 crore loan given for self-help group, women members, lady members. Do you know what is my NPA? Non-performing, what do you call, irrecoverable or bad debts. And she said, it is less than 2%. Less than 2%. Out of 1,000 crores, 980 crores, we have collected money. All are promptly giving. And Tamil Nadu government, they are given waiver for them. Due to the pandemic time, they said we could not come out, no business and no activity, and they all approached the government for relief. The government has given relief for them. It's a welcoming move. Tamil Nadu has already borrowed 36,000 crores so far in 21-22 and is the top borrower among the states. It is a major criticism today. I will give one more slide to tell you what is the present plight of the state, and we have to ponder how we are going to manage. It is $1 million question, how we are going to come out of it. The climatic change prevention action, Tamil Nadu government changes the mission to focus on climate change, adoption and mitigation of activities. The allocation of fund for about 500 crore, that is emission control. One of the most important area today is that carbon accounting. Do you know what is a carbon accounting? Carbon accounting means that suppose an industry is emitting carbon and it can be measured. And if any particular company, manufacturing company, emitting carbon, and what they have to do is that either you minimize the carbon or buy carbon credit from some other country who has developed greenery. That greenery you buy, you pay for that. Then you can utilize that. And JSW, one company in India, JSW, a steel and power company, they minimized their emission and created a lot of greenery and sold that carbon credit to a French company for 700 crore. 700 crores they sold it for. French, German, Switzerland, they are unable to control. They are not controlling. What they say, we will buy carbon credit from some other country or some other company which is controlling emission and which is creating more greenery. Calculate the value and I will buy that. So JSW company from India, they sold the carbon credit created by them, greenery created by them. It was sold in the international market for thousands of crores. So foreign exchange we are getting. Our country is also becoming greenery and the credit is sold out. So this is another facility. It is a very interesting area and students of commerce should know what is carbon accounting. And Ernst & Young is doing a lot of study in that area. You can go to internet and find many articles on carbon credit. And the deficit budget, the revenue budget deficit for the 21-22 is expected to go up from the unrealistic interim budget 6 months before the budget, before the election. The previous government gave interim budget. They gave 41,417 crore as a deficit. And now they say, the present government says, it is much more beyond that. It is only a rough figure they gave. And it is beyond 60,000, 58 to 60,000 crores. in the revised budget. In the after what we have done, the revised budget once again. So tax policy, I will give a brush up about what we have heard about. The tax on petrol has been reduced. Housing for the poor, 8 lakh house families in the rural area will be provided with a house in the next 5 years. Social security for pension, implementation of old age pension will be overall, and its coverage expanded to all deserving beneficiaries. Urban employment, a wage employment scheme will be implemented on a pilot basis to provide gainful employment. So that's the most important area. Don't give a fish for a person. Teach him fishing. If you give a fish for him today you can give him for his food for his today's hunger. Tomorrow he will once again beg. So don't do that. Teach him fishing. He will have a survival. You need not provide every day. So that should be the moral, and that should be the policy for the government, not to give and for temporary relief. They should find a permanent relief for this. The citizen should have an honorable life of earning his own income and having a self-esteemed life. I am earning and living. I am not taking from government a dole. I am not standing in the queue for getting 2,000 rupees. That should be the motive of any government which has a moral in continuing and thinking about the society. An initial allocation, 100 crore has been announced for the particular scheme of gainful employment. So the figures given by the finance secretary, and he says the borrowing, and it is all the figures are published by the Tamil Nadu government budget, and you can see the open source available. Now finance analytics is also available for the budget. So the expenditure for the borrowing is 66,074 crores, and 21-22 expected is 118,250, 33% increase, 1,18,250 crore, and total receipt of the government is 326. What the government is doing so much of collection, where they can increase the collection, but nobody is venturing on that, and nobody ready to lose the revenue generation. If the government stops the TASMAC, one particular shop, if it's closed down, the revenue loss will be 50,000 crore. And if people become steady, government will start trembling. That is what sarcastically people say. Why don't you stop that? Why don't you, provide health for public? If you close down, and if my revenue 50,000, 60,000 crore per annum, if you block that, government cannot be stable. Government start become trembling. So this is the way the government is managing its finance. But of course, Gujarat has got a stable government, and there is a total dry state. Last 25 years, 100% dry state. Still, they are showing surplus budget. Other government has to learn the lesson from Gujarat. It is a surplus budget. And the one example he gave, so how do you collect revenue? He says, sir, in one toll booth, every toll, and about 1,000 cars or 1,000 lorries are crossing every day. And we need not, and I did not put any police there. I put only one person, 10 camera there. 10 camera we install. And every number will be recorded. Every lorry crossing number will be recorded. Whether the recovery or not, the data analytics will come to my company. PricewaterhouseCoopers doing that. PwC doing data analytics for Gujarat state government, and measuring how many lorries cross the particular toll booth, and what is the collection. Even if one lorry crossing without that, it can send a notice to them. And the now automatic recovery is there, and we have got a toll recovery also automatic. You just put a sticker and it will take the money out. And they are once again doing another intelligent way of fraudulent activity. And they say for car 25 rupees, for lorry 100 rupees. What all the lorry owners did, they bought the car sticker and put on the lorry. And the machine only reading that, and machine says, yes, vehicle paused, and the number, everything is correct. But the original sticker they should have taken for a lorry, but they put the car token and again they escaped. That also PwC found out, and they reported. So many people have what they call loss of revenue for the government. So this is a way data analytics is paving way in your everyday life. You cannot do anything without Google today, and everything is monitored, and estimated revenue and budget, and the total revenue receipts for the government, including the central transfers, are estimated to be 2,02,000 crore in the revised budget. So much of money coming, GST collection coming, and central government grant is coming. Beyond that, government says we are running at a huge loss because you are distributing freely everything. 2.1 crore card holders have been given 4,000 rupees every card, costing 9,370 crore. I also got 2,000 rupees. I am very happy. My wife said, okay, 2,000 rupees, let us give it to somebody. Let us give it a donation to some needy people. So that is the way. Every person is very happy when you get 2,000, 3,000. But nobody bothers about where from the money comes. It will be taken from you only. If not today, I will take it tomorrow. And till the elections are over, till I come and occupy my chair, and till everything settle down, we will not do anything. Once we know all the numbers, I will talk to you, common man. Common man will say, sir, you have to do something. Then I will increase everything. I will increase your property tax. I will increase your land revenue, registration tax increase, everything 20% increase. And I will say that only by doing that I can offset my deficit. Otherwise, how will I do? Or I will not give anything free. Don't ask free. And there is no free lunch. No free lunch. Everything pay for it. That is going to be the future story. Road safety. When you go to London, you cannot get a tumbler of water. When I went to a hotel, I asked for a cup of water. He said, sir, give me $1. £1, please give. £1, 90 rupees. I paid £1 and bought one small bottle water. That is the way world is moving. Here everything want free. And in London you can't get a tumbler of water free. Nobody will give free. Road safety, 500 crores for better road condition. So much of untoward incidents. The government says that you pay for it. The government is allocating funds. And if it is utilized fully for that particular purpose, the roads will become good. Unfortunately, it is not taking place. There are so many middlemen, operative mistakes, and again settlement, and only 50% is going for the actual material, 50% leaking in cash. That should not happen. That is the mechanism we have to prove. Put everything, what you call online, and completely total digital economy. No cash transaction, and completely electronic transfers, and quality checking must be there. Everybody should use consciously. The modern equipments of forest people, so there are forest people are not getting telephone link over there. Connectivity is not there. Equipments are poor. They are all delinked. So they are going for modern equipments. Upgrading beaches. Marina is going to be a what you call a beach like in France or German, and it will be a wonderful thing if all these schemes are introduced. And they say we'll be going for a blue flag certificates and state fall. What you call the other challenge today? The fall from a revenue surplus of 1,760 crore in 12-13. 2012-13, same Tamil Nadu, we had 1,760 crore surplus. How it is washed away? How it has drained now? And who is responsible? And public responsible? Yes, we are also in a way responsible. We want everything free. When you want everything free and you are happy with that, naturally, somebody will be giving you what you want and they get what they want. This is the exchange. And today, our deficit is 61,320 crore in 2021. The state needs to shun the business as usual approach and adopt radical reforms. Is that especially in sectors such as power, water supply, and transport? This is the observation of Finance Minister. Agriculture budget we introduced for the first time, as a professor mentioned initially, the first time we have introduced the agriculture budget. Earlier in union budget, we used to have a union budget separately, railway budget separately. And Nirmala Sitharaman, after her adoption, she combined both union budget and railway budget together. And she allotted 2 lakh crores for just a railway line connectivity. And in this current budget, lot of metros are coming throughout Tamil Nadu. All the small cities, metro lines are coming. You know what is the budget of Chennai Metro? Chennai Metro today, when 10 years back it was commenced, 10,000 crore. And now they are extending. It is approximately 30 to 40,000 crore. 40,000 crore government is installing. It is called capital expenditure. The capital expenditure, if we do it today in 2020, this will be useful for till 2220, another 200 years. We are long-term planning. Another 200 years, none of the people will be available. Nobody will be available in 220 or 2320, but the bridges will be there. Metro will be running. And the public are traveling with a high comfort. Instead of sweating hot day, they go that 30 rupees, 40 rupees traveling in 100% AC atmosphere. A common man is traveling. That is capital expenditure budget. So agriculture budget is a novel thing, and the thing explained in share of agriculture in the economy. And the total of the budget here is that in 1951, the share was, what is the share? And in 2011, what is the share of the economy? And today we have gone, share of the agriculture economy is reducing, and workers and total workers are increasing to a larger extent. And the agricultural statistics, this figure has been obtained. So the agriculture is farmers and farmers' condition, and the workers' contribution is increasing drastically. So the government has taken a right decision in forming a separate agricultural budget for the upliftment of the agriculturist, and they are 100% tax free. Their income is 100% tax free. And in India, we have got some politicians, agriculturists, and they are all in Maharashtra, 10,000 crore annual income tax zero, 10,000 crore annual income, and they don't pay 1 rupee income tax. Whereas a teacher drawing 5 lakh salary, he is paying about 1,40,000 income tax, 70,000 income tax. 10,000 crore income earned by an agriculturist, and he says completely agricultural income, because it is exempted, my tax liability zero. And we all say it's correct. And this is the policy proposal. Budget speech, Finance Minister says the Union, agricultural infrastructure development, cess will be levied on certain goods for financing agriculture infrastructure and other development activities. These goods include certain imports such as cotton, coal, gold, silver, and alcoholic beverages, petrol and diesel. So the Union Finance Minister announced, and this is being taken by the state government for as a model for developing an agriculture budget in our state. So finally, I am just talking about a climatic change initiative, and here 33% we are in the agriculture budget, a special thrust on environment, climatic change, protection of wetlands, irrigation, announced as a Green Tamil Nadu mission to increase the total areas under the forest and tree coverage up to 33% of land areas in the state. So land area is vast, and we have cut down all the trees for agriculture, for what you call deforestation, for housing construction and furniture manufacturing. So many things we have cut down, all the trees, and we have lost rain. Now the government understood we have to go for afforestation. Plant a tree. All the listeners, each one of you plant a tree, and Tamil Nadu will become green. Chennai will become green. And the financial status today, what is the financial status? Initially, our professors spotted about it. I come back to square one, and I will ask answer from you itself. The government plans to borrow a net amount of 92,450 crore. This is the announcement by the present finance minister. Read out 5 days back or few days back in Tamil Nadu Assembly. He wants to borrow 95,000 crore, and he is not satisfied with the existing borrowing. And he also submitted a white paper, and he is a MIT graduate from US. He is an MIT person and an educated person. He understood the mechanism, and he understood the financial structure of the country, and Morgan Stanley ex-employee, and we had to go by and see what he's going to do for turning around and how the government is going to make a U-turn. We need U-turn now. Suggest. And if you are ready to listen to me, I will give my suggestion. Or give a public forum. We will give our suggestion. When the government has to listen and government has to ask for the public forum for the result. The outstanding debt as on 31st March 2022 would be 5,77,987 crore after excluding back-to-back loan for GST compensation shortfall released by the center. One of the key causes for loss of revenue in the lax tax administration over the past decade. How are we going to manage? $1 million question. And 5 crore and 6 crore population in India. 6 lakh crore loan is there. Divided by 6 crore, 1 lakh per head is a debt on every individual. Assuming 6 lakhs. Come on, listeners. I think I have done my presentation. Now let's discuss.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. We could see so much of effort and time that you have put to summarize everything and give this in a capsule form. So we could see so much of effort and time actually, sir. Anyway, thank you very much, sir, for thought-provoking and informative address, and for educating us to have a independent, critical and in-depth analysis of any budget session. For your information, sir, actually we could restrict only to 100 students, as this Google Meet didn't allow more than 100. So we will be recording this session and we will be sharing with all our students, sir.
Thank you, madam.
So dear participants, it's time for us to acknowledge whatever has been shared by our renowned speaker. So we expect you to come up with your questions and suggestions, if any, on the topic that we have discussed for the day. Over to the audience. Vijayanaran sir, you could check the chat box also.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Chandra Prakash has raised hand. You can unmute and you can ask your question.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Actually, I have a couple of questions for you, sir.
Yeah.
So the couple of questions. My first question is: the funds which the Tamil Nadu government allotted for renovating mosques and churches and renovating temples and all the sculptures, could it have been done in a better way? Like they could have created a trust for all these mosques and trusts and let the donation which comes in the mosque and trust to put it in the development process and reduce what the state has to invest to develop.
I'm addressing a meeting. I call later. 10 minutes. Yeah, I got your question. Whether the temple renovation money could have been utilized in a better way. That's right. it depends upon how you view that. Actually, our cultural heritage, when they are all destroying and it is dwindling before your eyes. 100 years back, a temple, mosque, or church is constructed. They are all in dilapidated condition. It is falling. As a citizen or any faith you follow, will you be sitting and watching it? Will you not do something for renovation? And these are all monuments. These are all what you call, irrespective of any faith, whatever you follow. Actually, as a thing, and this needs, because in a beach road, you can't construct any building. You cannot construct any building in throughout from Kanyakumari to Chennai, in the corner beach road. You can't do any fresh building. Environmental clearing required. And not only that, heritage buildings. They are all called heritage buildings, monuments. And these are all required for every individual, every citizen. Let him follow whatever he likes. There is no restriction. And therefore, from that angle, it is giving a sentimental value. And it is, in fact, indirectly generating employment. Every renovation, every reconstruction, generating employment for 500 people. If they are renovating 1,000 temple, mosque, church, and other things, 5 lakh people are getting job. Things are getting automatically, economy reviving. So that is the way we have to see that. And I think that it is a way the government has to take care of public sentiments.
Yes, sir. Can I ask you another question, sir, if you don't mind?
Yes, you can go ahead, Chandra Prakash.
Yes, sir. So my second question is about the contribution of liquor in our tax, tax, sir. My ask is, as you said, sir, that government cannot close down a shop of Taskmark because it will cost us 50,000 crores of losses. Sir, what can we suggest is like, can we reduce that part of liquor in the tax by marginally reducing it by year? Like slowly, if the government can motivate people to reduce the spending on such things and increase the spending on good other things such as opening a shop and contributing more on those parts of segment other than this. So, what policy would you suggest to the government that by for reducing it marginally, sir?
Yeah, the government tried earlier. Tamil Nadu government tried it earlier. About 10, 15 years back, 20 years back, the government announced complete prohibition. What happened? From Chennai, everybody ran to Nellore. And this side, they all ran to Pondicherry. And nobody stopped. The consumption did not reduce. Revenue gone out of state. And today, suppose if I close for 2 days and if I say lockdown for 10 days, today I can make 100 crore sale. If I say lockdown for the liquor shop, next 10 days, today I can make 100 crore sale. This is the plight. Unless you change the common man, the public thinking, the public perception, the healthcare awareness should come for individuals. Everybody should start feeling. It has to go gradually. It cannot be done immediately. And over the years, maybe because not only that, either they go for other state or do spurious and other duplicate things here, and many are dying. Hundreds of people losing their life by consuming whatever available locally. And these are all concerned. The government said that, okay, let us open it. And by closing, many are losing their life. So let us not do that. So public has to change. The mindset, the education has to come from childhood. And the father should become a role model. And only by doing that, this can be done in a phased manner. Maybe we can plan for another 10 years.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I've got my answers for my questions, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chandra Prakash. Thank you, sir. And we have one more question coming up from Gaurav Agarwal. How is Tamil Nadu able to bear the burden of freebies from these many years? Is it the strong economy of the state or the state dipping in high debts year after year? You could see the question, sir?
Yes, I got it. The answer is in the question. It is a debt year after year. Accumulation. No doubt about it. But we did not blow up to this level. Now we have come to a level, we have bulged. It is a bubble has become beyond our control. We have become 6 lakh crore. If we don't control now, we will become 10 lakh crore debt. Maharashtra government is similar way, heavy debt ridden. And if the state debt ridden and nothing will be there, and it's called the sovereign debt crisis. A country can become bankrupt, state can become bankrupt, a company can become bankrupt, individual can become bankrupt. Suppose your income is 1 lakh, you are borrowing 25 lakhs. Even if you sell everything, you cannot repay your money. What will you do? You will apply for insolvency petition. Similar way, a company will do. Company got 100 crore property, 5,000 crore loan for the company. The company will become bankrupt. The company will file bankruptcy. And Nirav Modi bankrupt. And Kingfisher bankrupt. State government can become bankrupt. State government default, check will default. There will be no money for payment of salary. There will be no money for payment of electricity bill. Government cannot run anything. Hospital will go without medicine. Hospital doctors will not get salary. Nothing will be there. It will become a debt-ridden state, and the state will become bankrupt, and it's called as sovereign debt crisis. We are crying because of that.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. We have another question coming up from Ramya. Ramya, you could make it a little bit more clear. She has asked, in case of total expenditure.
Yes, madam. So
Ramya, you can just go ahead. You can unmute that.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Sir, good evening. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes,
as compared to the state expenditure, the total expenditure for education, that is 2021 to 22, that allocation is 13.5%. As we last year, that is 15.8%, sir. As compared to the other state, actually, that is little bit that is 15.8% is actually the average allocation for education alone as compared to the other state. 15 point, why sir, actually why our Tamil Nadu, why they have allocated the little, that is 13.2% is lesser than the things actually if we see. But for the road and bridge, those things, that is those development and all, they have extended the expenditure, that is the percentage, so that is 5%.
I got your question.
Yes, sir.
As far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, we are in a comfortable level. It's called
okay,
public-private partnership. Public-private partnership system is going on in Tamil Nadu.
Okay,
when
sir.
I was a student, in Tamil Nadu only 7 engineering colleges.
Okay.
And now there are 700 engineering colleges. Out of 700 engineering colleges, 650 engineering colleges owned by the private parties. Private people invested money. They started providing education. They started colleges. They started giving employment. They started collecting money. And government is unable to pay. The government cannot do everything by itself. Only selected monopoly area government can do. Railway government can run. I can buy aircraft. I can buy an individual aircraft for me. And similar way, bus transport, it is given for private parties. You can buy a route and run your bus. And similar way, cab has come. Ola and again the other Uber are not run by the government. Private parties, the owner is sitting in US. And it is not a limited company.
Okay.
And they are all sitting somewhere and again running the show here. Government is not doing anything. Is it a government what do you call, can we say, just like Arasu cable, Arasu car, and Arasu car can be operated. Similar way, education also, mostly it is in the hands of
Privatized.
private.
Yeah, sir.
So they are spending a lot of money
Okay.
and they are investing. So government portion will be because they have to spend for everything.
Yeah, sir.
Government cannot spend only for education.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Shyam
Thank you.
Sundar thank you. Shyam Sundar is asking, is there any live example for any state or country for bankruptcy? Is Zimbabwe gone bankrupt due to hyperinflation?
Yes. Even much before that, Mexico, Brazil. Mexico and Brazil have gone for sovereign debt crisis. And at that time, and in Mexico and Brazil, the currency was thrown on the road. Nobody to pick up the currency. The inflation was so high that they could not buy anything. They all had a lot of money, but no bread to buy. No manufacturing, no production. All are having bunch of currency. What is the use of your currency without manufacturing and production? That's called hyperinflation. And already seen by Mexico and Brazil. Go to Google and read the stories, case studies. We are giving for all MBA students case studies on Mexico and Brazil. These two countries collapsed and now they are on the verge of re-improving. It is one of the BRICS country. Brazil now improving gradually. Yes.
Shyam Sundar, hope your query is answered. Anyone else?
Yeah, ma'am, it was clear.
Yes. Thank you, Shyam. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Students? Yes, another question coming up in the chat box, sir. Sir, as you mentioned, government is spending a lot on freebies and it is mostly common for everyone, irrespective of their financial position. Why can't the government identify only the needy by some means and it can save a lot of money?
Yeah, that is economic statistics and economic based on verification. The 2,000 rupees given for everybody and all the card holders got it. And even a person having 5 lakhs annual income, monthly income, and 200 rupees monthly income, both of them got it. And how to distinguish? And they say same parties for their own benefits and without understanding the economy, they say it has to be given for all. And there are certain things the government knows better why they are doing and what for they are doing. And certain areas I cannot discuss in the open platform.
Thank you, sir. Another question coming from Dhanalakshmi. Sir, as you mentioned, government is that is what I think we have done. Sorry, sir. So thank you, Dhanalakshmi, for posting the question. Anyone else? Students, can we move on to the concluding part, or you have any more questions to the speaker? HOD, sir?
You can
Yes.
deliver the
Move on to the
concluding speech.
We can conclude. So thank you, sir. Students, thank you for your active participation. So expressing the gratitude is the simplest yet most powerful thing that we can do for each other. So hence, I call upon Dr. Hari Dayal Sharma, sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to propose the vote of thanks.
Unmute.
Sir, can you please unmute your mic?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Akila. Before coming to the formal vote of thanks, just things in a nutshell. It was wonderful listening to, such stalwarts, short, simple, and specific, as they say. Just, a recipe, as they say, wonderful, excellent for our students' level. He could have used, I know, all jargons and all, but very specific, up to the point. And this is testimonial you can see, sir, actually we would have around 200 participants, but I do not know, even though we have G Suite, paid G Suite, but maybe next time we will rectify or correct it out or find out. Total 100% attendance was there, 100 and almost 100 were there. So wonderful, sir. And just to conclude in a nutshell, we started with the background of this thing and then moved on with the GST collection, as sir said, 1 lakh crore, and almost, as he said, how it comes back to the various states. Then we moved on to digitization, higher education, of course, and very well said by sir, there is a difference between social benefit or benefits and freebies, right? Benefits and welfare, acceptable, but doles and freebies can be avoided. I hope that was the message. Then he gave the example of Gujarat and how education for entrepreneurship is much better than simply going for, gross enrollment ratios and all. Even though Tamil Nadu is doing well, Kerala is also another model. We need not, maybe some other day we will have it. But why Gujarat is able to produce a surplus budget? Because education for entrepreneurship, for objective. So he gave certain examples from Gujarat state. Then technology application, our students learned, healthcare, of course, environment, and he concluded with the future scenario, how it looks. If we improve, how things can be better, otherwise, how things can become worse. So wonderful, sir. From the bottom of my heart, as well as from the Department of Commerce, all faculty members, our principal, secretary, everybody, I thank you wholeheartedly, sir. It was wonderful listening to you. And of course, hopefully it is will continue this thing, journey. And definitely it's wonderful to listen from such an experienced person. Right. Now, so moving to the next thing, I thank our secretary, whose philosophy being that go beyond the classroom. So that is why we have come, rather than just, of course, classrooms are there, we do interact, and now it is online, offline, everything is happening. But go beyond classroom, try to understand the philosophy of the subject and move on. So we really thank our secretary for instilling that kind of mindset, and we are taking it forward, sir. So we really thank our secretary, our principal, again, never say no kind of person. I remember even when we took the proposal, simply he underlined the topic. Okay, very good. And the resource person, excellent. These two he underlined by green pen, and that's it, move on. So really we thank our principal. Of course, our HOD, Dr. J. Jayashankar, always cooperative. Even yesterday, 9 o'clock evening, we disturbed him, and never very cooperative, and not just for the sake of praising. We know, Akila and I, we interacted, and then we contacted sir. Nothing. Wonderful. Again, he called me back at 9:30 to give his input. So wonderful, very excellent cooperation we get from our head. Of course, Professor Seshadri Nathan, head of Shift 2. We have such a, camaraderie that even if JJ sir is busy with some other activity, definitely he will take up the issue, and he is always there to help us. Of course, Dr. Akila and Dr. Vijay Narayanan, they have supported us with respect to the nitty-gritties and technicalities, and it was wonderful. It was really a teamwork as we were interacting yesterday. Wonderful. Of course, I thank all the teaching and other administrative staff with their motivation, supports, and input. Of course, I hope we will move forward and we will contribute something to the real knowledge rather than this bookish knowledge or this paper knowledge, something with the help of people like stalwarts like sir, we will carry on. So thank you, sir. It was wonderful. Hope to continue this journey with you. Thank you, sir.
Ramakrishnan sir, you can unmute and speak. Ramakrishnan sir.
Hope this was useful for my young friends, and I gave some relevant points to live up to their expectation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
very much, sir.
Thank you for your patient
Thank you.
hearing.
Students,
sir.
feedback link has been posted in the chat box. You can fill it up to receive your e-certificates. So again, on behalf of Postgraduate and Research Department of Commerce, I express my heartfelt gratitude to one and all for your presence and for taking a keen part in this virtual event. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll stop recording. Thank you.
Yes, yes, sir.